Hey guys, so we're going to come in and finish some of these notes. I had avoided this problem because it had arrows, so we're going to go ahead and do this problem. Now remember, domain is x, range is your y, so domain is what my graph is doing on my x-axis. If I look here, this graph has arrows on either end. So in other words, if I were to stretch out this graph on the x-axis, this end is going to negative infinity. It's never going to stop. This end is going to positive infinity. Because of that arrow, it tells me that it keeps going forever and ever and ever and ever. It's going forever and ever in both directions. So my domain for this problem is from negative infinity to positive infinity. Infinity never gets a line underneath because we can never actually touch infinity. So that would also be negative infinity to positive infinity. Another way to say that is just saying all real numbers, because I'm using every single number that exists for my domain. Now my range is my y-axis. I want to know what my graph is doing along my y-axis. Well, I know that my graph starts right here on my y-axis. This right here is at -2. So my graph is starting at -2, and that's a point on my line. And I can take these arrows and I can stretch them along my y-axis, and then I can know that my graph is going up, 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 up into positive infinity. Okay, I know it's positive infinity because it's going up. If the arrows were pointing down, then it would be negative infinity. So another way of saying this is -2 to positive infinity. Now lastly, we don't like to include infinities in our answer, so I'm going to cover up the infinity. This piece right here is what my answer says. Keep in mind, we always want the variable in the front. So if I flip the order, I have to flip my sign. So for the domain and range, when we're doing infinities, there's always going to be 3 different ways you can state the domain and range. Okay? Let's come over here and let's do this one. So on this one, on my domain, so think about if we drag this to the x-axis. I know that my graph is starting right here. So on my x-axis, it's starting right here. And it's going to go along my x-axis until forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I know that because of this arrow. So my graph is starting at -3. And it's going into infinity. Or I could say -3, infinity. Infinity always gets parentheses. Remember, there's a third way when we're dealing with infinities. This piece right here is my answer. I don't like to have x at the end. I want to have x at the front. So I'm just going to flip the order, and if I flip the order, I flip the sign. Okay? My range, the only y value that I use on my y-axis is this number right here. I'm not using anything else. That's 1, 2. So the only y value that's being used on this graph is the y value of y equals 10. We're going to come over here, we're going to do another one. Okay, so this one doesn't have any infinity symbols because it has dots at the end. So my domain is what my graph is doing on the x-axis. So on the x-axis, it's starting right here, and it's stopping right there. Those are the 2 points on my x-axis that we're using. So it's starting at 0, and it's stopping at 8. 8's an open circle, so I don't get a line. Or I can do 0, 8 parentheses. What is my graph doing on the y-axis? It's starting here, and it's stopping here. So it's starting at -2, and it's stopping at 2, 4, 6, or -2, 6 bracket. Okay, let's talk about this one. If I were to drag these on my x-axis, because my domain is x, if I were to drag these on my domain axis, I know that it's going in this direction forever. I know that because of the graphs. Is it going in the positive direction or is it going in the negative direction? It's going in the negative, so I'm starting at negative infinity. And I'm stopping right here. I'm never going to go past this number right here, which is 3. Okay? So that would be negative infinity, to 3, or I just want this piece, x's that are less than or equal to 3. Okay, now on my y-axis I have an arrow, so on my y-axis I'm going this way forever, and I'm going this way forever. So I'm going down forever and I'm going up forever. So I'm going to negative infinity to positive infinity, negative infinity to positive infinity, or we can call that all real numbers. Okay, the last one. What is it doing on the x-axis? Well, I can take these two ends and I can open these up. It's going that way. I can take this, I can lay it flat. It's going that way forever and ever and ever. I know that because of the arrows. So this way is to negative infinity. That way is to positive infinity. Negative infinity, positive infinity. It's the same thing as saying all real numbers. Now my range, it's never going to go below this point. But these ends, I can open them up on my y-axis. I can literally drag those and open them up. So the lowest that ever went on my y-axis was -1. It's never going to stop. I know that because of the arrow. So it's going to go into infinity. So I can say -1 to infinity. Or I can just have this piece that says I want all my y values that are less than, oh, I don't want that. I want this piece right here. I want to flip the order. I want all my y values that are greater than or equal to -1. Sorry.